Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Happy New Year, happy 2024. I'm just a little bit closer. I feel like I'm so far away, but I'm not. I also have this much space next to me just so when I edit I can add photos and it not be like right on top of me or anything like that. So the last video I uploaded was the Delphi girl murders, and I just want to say this first and foremost. A lot of times when I'm researching these videos, there are a lot of websites and a lot of information that is true and not true, and a lot of times I use what is given or what I know. So in the Delphi girl murders, I mentioned that there was two suspects, one that was in Tippecanoe and one that is the man who did it. The Tippecanoe one, somebody left kind of a snarky comment and that I hid. I was like, I don't even want to see that because that video was so personal to me. I wanted it to be very nice and very good video for Libby and Abby because that's what they deserve. They were murdered in such a terrible way. They didn't deserve to have a video with that snarky comment on it. I did hide the comment, and I don't feel bad about it. It was just something that, like, a learning experience, that a lot of times there is false information for these cases and it's very hard. And so I try to do cases that I know. The Delphi girl murders, I knew. I'm from Indiana. I'm the same age as those girls. It was something that I knew, and I knew what was right and what was wrong. Secondly, thank you for the comment that said I took a case and made it personal. Thank you for that, because it is true. I took it to a personal level because I'm the same age as those girls should be. So I made that video personally, and I kind of wanted to change up cases. I want the next however many videos, I want you to do cases that have stuck with me. I've watched a lot of true crime. I've absorbed a lot of true crime. I've read true crime, all of that. And I wanted to do cases within the next couple cases, however many that is, that stuck with me. And this is one of those cases that is stuck with me. I learned of this case when I was really young. I was watching true crime, and I think it was Kendall Ray's video again that I watched, and I was like, oh, that's a messed up case. So Kendall Ray actually has a podcast as well called Mile Higher with her husband that they also talked about this on. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago they talked about this case with the victim's sister. So it is a case that is unsolved, but they know who did it in a sense. They just can't prove that he did it. So this video today is one that has stuck with me because of just how bizarre the whole thing turns out to be and how wonderful this woman's sister has been to keep her name alive since, I believe, 2001. Yeah, 2001. So today's video is the disappearance and suspected murder of Alissa Turney. So we're going to get right into the video. Please make sure you like and subscribe, and let's get right into this video. Born on April 3rd, 1984, Alissa Marie Turney lived a pretty regular life. She actually grew up in a blended family. She was not Sarah Turney's biological, full sister. She was her half-sister. And her stepfather's name was Michael Turney. He had adopted her when her mother died from lung cancer, and he was the one that basically raised her. So she actually had 4 older brothers and 1 younger sister, who actually becomes her voice of talking about what happened to her. And like I said, that's Sarah Turney, who has social media pages dedicated to her sister. I highly recommend her TikTok if you want to see anything about that. She talks a lot about Alissa on there. Like I said, lived a pretty regular life. She went to school, she had boyfriends, she had a lot of friends. Basically, from when I was researching it and even seeing the podcast that Sarah talks about her, Alissa was just a very wonderful person. So, by 2001, she had a job at the local Jack in the Box, and a lovely boyfriend. She lived with Michael, her stepdad, or her father, who adopted her, and Sarah in her hometown of Phoenix, Arizona. So, on the last day of school, I believe it was her junior year of high school, she told her boyfriend that Michael, which is her dad, would be picking her up early from school that day. And funny enough, after Alissa disappeared, Michael was actually asked about that and to acknowledge it. Michael did acknowledge that he took Alissa out of school early that day. He claimed that he had taken her out to lunch to celebrate the end of her junior year, but that the two of them had fought. And in Michael's words, they returned home to the house they shared with Sarah around 1 p.m., and he left to run errands. And that is supposedly the last time Michael would see Alissa. Then went and picked up his youngest daughter, And I think in Sarah's account, she stated that he had been late picking her up on that last day of school. Like, she had a field trip that day, and he had been late picking her up, so she just walked to a friend's house and stayed with them, and he found her and picked her up later that day. And when Michael picked Sarah up from her friend's house, he asked her to call Sarah, or to call Alissa on his phone. Like, he said that she wasn't answering him, but maybe, like, will you try her? So she did. She called Alissa, and when Alissa didn't answer, Sarah said they returned home. And he sent Sarah, his little daughter, into Alissa's room to look for her. So this means that he made Sarah call her. She didn't answer. They got home. He was like, go check her room, see if she's in there. Maybe she's just mad not picking up her phone. Sarah would be the first one into Alissa's room when they got home. So she checked Alissa's room. They found a note that made them believe that she'd run away from home to go out to California. The note has been kind of like, in Sarah's, I don't know how to put it. Sarah stated that the note has been kind of an odd thing for the entire case. Like, they've had writing analysis look at it. Some of it looks like Alissa's handwriting. Some of it really doesn't look like. It's almost like someone forced her to write a certain way. Like I said, definitely check out the Mile Higher podcast with Alissa Turney on it, because she goes into great depth and great detail about everything. So the note said, Dad and Sarah, when you dropped me off at school today, I decided I really am going to California. Sarah, you said you really wanted me gone. Now you have it. Dad, I took $300 from you. That's why I saved my money. So the one thing I don't understand about this note is I took $300 from you to Michael. That's why I saved my money. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? Like, why would you say I have $300 and that's why I took $300 from you and then I saved my money? That just doesn't, I don't understand why that was written. But Sarah has told us that she wasn't worried, that she was under the impression that she was going to come back. She didn't think that she'd be gone forever. Nothing like that ever crossed her mind. She even added in an interview with Dateline, California was this beautiful dream that many people wanted, talking about Phoenix. She even wanted a white Jeep to drive around, just like Cher in the movie Clueless. So basically, from the get-go, this kind of looked like a normal runaway case. They were determined, the police were determined that there'd been no foul play. Even Alissa's stepbrother, John, who knew that Alissa was afraid of Michael, except that she'd most likely fled the house after the fight Michael had mentioned that they'd had earlier on that last day of school. So, like I just stated, John, her stepbrother, knew she was afraid of Michael, but she also had another brother who knew she was afraid of Michael. This is James, her half-brother. So, James actually said that Alissa told him that she was afraid of our father and she wanted to leave. He told her she could come stay with me, and then when I found out she was missing, when he found out she was missing, he 100% believed she had run away. She got away from him, and that's what she wanted. She never went to him. She never went to her brother's house like he told her she could, or even to her aunt's house in California. She had so many options of places to go, like her aunt in California, to her brother's, but she just vanished. Like, Alissa didn't show up to anybody's house. She just vanished. Now, if you aren't familiar with this case and you aren't familiar with Michael Turney, you're probably wondering, how the hell did this man become the main suspect in his missing daughter's case? Alissa was missing for 7 years by the time people really did suspect him. I think there were a handful of people that suspected him, right away. A lot of people didn't believe him. Alissa's sister Sarah actually didn't fully believe it until years later when she asked a boyfriend, do you think he did it? And her boyfriend told her, everyone thinks he did it. So in 2006, this was about 7 years after Alissa went missing, a serial killer named Thomas Heimer falsely confessed to killing Alissa. The police began to reconsider her disappearance, so this man said he killed her, and the police were like, okay, well, let's reopen the case and see if it matches. And in 2008, the Phoenix Police Department Missing Persons Unit decided to reinvestigate her disappearance and had interviewed 200 people who had known her. And it wasn't long before people started giving them details about Michael Turney that kind of made a red flag pop up. Stated Sarah Turney at this point still did not believe that her father had done anything to Alissa, but as Michael's story would frequently change, Sarah's like idea of her father changed as well. So Alissa's friends, who the police had interviewed, and those 200 people, had told police that Michael had tried to sexually abuse Alissa. Her boyfriend had even revealed, the boyfriend she had when she went missing, had even revealed that Michael had tried fooling around with Alissa. And the most disgusting thing that when I was reading this that really, Alissa had told her friends she'd once woken up tied to a chair, gagged, and Michael on top of her. Now, Alyssa's not here to tell this, but that's what we have to state. Her friend said Alissa said it. So in 2008, police noted that Michael had an apparent obsession with Alissa. Like he would stalk her at work. Like, there's video footage of him and Sarah visiting Alissa at work, and he's like spying on her. He used binoculars to spy on her at work. Like, it was a whole thing. So in December of 2008, Sarah Turney was asked to come to the police station, and there a detective would have told her, "We think your father did it. Your house is being raided. Also, your father probably molested your sister." Imagine, this is 7 years after Alissa went missing, that you're being told that your father probably murdered your sister, your house is being raided, and that your father also probably molested your sister. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense. The raid I just mentioned is actually, they had a lot of stuff that was found in this raid, and this police raid uncovered hours and hours of surveillance footage that Michael Turney had collected of Alissa using home video cameras, and they found contracts signed by Alissa saying Michael never molested her. So this is a bit fishy. But this raid also uncovered 30 improvised explosive devices, 19 high-caliber assault rifles, 2 handmade silencers, and a 98-page manifesto entitled Diary of a Madman Martyr. You can tell this raid kind of uncovered a lot about who Michael really is. And in this manifesto, Michael wrote of his desire to attack the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, who he had claimed had abducted and murdered Alissa. He went to prison in 2010 for this, for the possession of pipe bombs, and not for the disappearance of Alissa. So this man possibly murdered and assaulted his daughter, and then just kind of went to prison for pipe bombs. Like, not even for anything to do with Alissa. So Sarah, who is at this point very kind of frustrated and not understanding what's going on, and wants to keep her sister's name out there in the world so people know who Alissa Turney is, was told that the best way to keep her sister's case alive was to make a following on social media. And she did. Like I said earlier, she has a TikTok account. She has a podcast that was started for Alissa, and now she talks about other people's cases. She goes to all sorts of stuff talking about Alissa. She goes on people's podcasts to talk about Alissa. She is an amazing sister, and I could only hope that if anything like this happened to me, my sister would do the same. You know what I mean? So in 2017, Michael was actually released from prison, and that was when Sarah really began her social media presence. She made a Facebook, she made an Instagram, and Twitter accounts, all dedicated to Alissa. She even started a podcast called Voices for Justice, and in April of 2020, Sarah made a TikTok and soon built a following to this date. Like, I think now, when I wrote this, she had 1.1 million followers. Editing Sarah, if she has more now, can tell you. So Sarah has stated that TikTok has really spread the word of Alissa's case, probably because the algorithm has been pushing it to people. And she even danced to the sign by Ace of Base in one video with text that read, "When police say your only hope of getting your pedophile/domestic terrorist father tried for your sister's murder is media exposure, but you have crippling social anxiety." So I loved it. So Sarah also posted a home video, which I'll try to find and put in the video. It was recorded in 1997, and Alissa can be heard saying, because Sarah's the one with the camera, "Sarah, Dad's a pervert."
Hit the red button.
Why?
Hit the red button now.
I don't want to. How do I record?
Hit the red button.
Sarah! I'm recording.
Sarah! Sarah! Dad's a pervert.
officer. Give me the camera now. And you're still recording. And Alissa is stupid moron.
She also posted a video where she secretly recorded her father about Alyssa's disappearance. Michael had this to say: "Be there at my deathbed, Sarah, and I'll give you all the honest answers you want to hear." She asked him, "Why don't you give them to me now?" And he said, "Because you've got them now." And if you watch the Mile Higher podcast, they play a lot of that audio recording, and I highly recommend it to her to watch that. She stopped speaking to her father at this point, and I do not blame her. And in 2020, the investigation into Alyssa's disappearance took one final turn. On my birthday in 2020, August 20th, Michael Turney, who was 72 years old at the time, was arrested and indicted and charged by a grand jury with second-degree murder. On Twitter, Sarah posted, "I'm shaking and crying. We did it, guys. He's been arrested. OMG, thank you. Hashtag justice for Alissa. Never gave up hope that you can get justice. It took almost 20 years, but we did it." She even said on her podcast, "Without you guys, this would never have happened. Thank you for being my family, and thank you for caring about Alissa as much as I do. This process has been absolute hell, and I never wanted to get on media. I never wanted to make my own podcast, but we did it. You guys." It was not said why the police decided now to arrest him, or if Sarah's efforts on social media had anything to do with it, but County Attorney Alissa Turney acknowledged Sarah's social media campaign and said, "CeraAddair, your perseverance and commitment to finding justice for your sister, Alissa, is a testament to the love of a sister. Because of that love, Alyssa's light has never gone out, and she lives on in the stories and photos you've shared with this community. This passion you have demonstrated to her during your journey is something that will keep Alyssa's memory alive forever." Sarah has said that she hopes for a fair trial for Michael and Alissa. She now plans to use her social media and podcast to raise awareness about other cold cases. And she said, "I feel this is my calling." But Alyssa's story actually doesn't have a happy ending, because in 2023, Michael Turney had his trial. Alyssa's siblings, her classmates, all testified against Michael. Sarah was actually the key witness in the trial, and she was asked some questions regarding the note they found in Alyssa's room. The prosecutor, Vince Imbordione, asked Sarah, "Did you want her out of your life forever?" Because Alissa said in the video, "You wanted me out of your life." "No," Sarah answered. And he asked her why not. And Sarah replied with, "Because she took care of me." And any interview, anytime I see Sarah talk about Alissa, she talks so much about how Alissa took care of her, and I think that is the sweetest thing ever. I think it's amazing to know that in a shitty situation with their father, Alissa still was taking care of her. Sarah was reportedly emotional as she described her relationship with Alissa, adding that she still can recount the day Alissa went missing. She also testified about the troubled relationship between Michael and Alissa. She told the court that Michael had hidden cameras to watch Alissa and had been recording phone calls for years. When asked when she had become aware of the cameras being in the vent, in the vent of Alyssa's room, she said, "My father told me, look what I set up. This is to watch your sister, and Alissa is not to know." Yet there actually were apparently no recordings from the day Alissa went missing. Sarah also told the court that Michael had bought a new truck in the months following her sister's disappearance that was the same model as the previous truck he owned when Alissa went missing. The defense argued that Michael had spent his own money and time searching for Alissa, and Sarah testified she could only remember one trip she was a part of where her and Michael actually looked for Alissa. She even said at one point that Alyssa's disappearance had consumed Michael, but as Sarah grew older, she became the family contact for police. Michael changed it to Sarah, so the police would call her if anything came up. And the defense was aggressive with their questioning. They tried to paint Alissa as a misbehaving teen, even a partier who wanted to live on her own. And Sarah told the court that she was brainwashed by her father to believe whatever Michael said about Alissa. And Alyssa's biological father was in the courtroom, and he believes that Michael is guilty, but who doesn't? I can't imagine being a biological father, seeing the stepfather, who is, you hear all these rumors about him, that he molested her and that he did this and this to her, and you're sitting there going, if I had been in her life, maybe that wouldn't have happened. So John, which is one of her brothers, testified as well, saying, "Just my little sister. She was just my little sister. She was fun, loving. She was a lot like me as a teenager." James, which is Alyssa's half-brother, actually testified about a supposed call that Michael had received a few days after Alyssa went missing. He believed it was Melissa, but he said they never spoke, and it was mostly just static. But this phone call was never recorded on the recording devices Michael supposedly had on his house phone. So, after 5 days of testimony, jurors in Phoenix decided that Michael Turney would be acquitted, as there was not enough evidence against him to convict him of second-degree murder. This, of course, is not the outcome that Alyssa's family wanted, and they've expressed their feelings for it, and they've expressed their gratitude for the support they had been given to Alyssa's case for the years. Sarah actually addressed Alyssa directly in her podcast, saying, "I love you and I'm sorry. You moved mountains to protect me from the reality of our lives so I could have the best childhood possible. That is something I can never repay you for. I just hope you know that I tried and that you deserved so much better." And I know that what I just told you, I missed out on a lot of what happened to Alyssa. But there is so much. This could be an hour-long video, and I'm telling you, I just had trouble with the Delphi girl murder video getting up, and it was 30 minutes long. So I can't do an hour, but I would love to. And maybe one day I'll have the time to actually sit down and give you everything about this case. But you can go watch Sarah talk about it because it's so much more personal for her, and it's so much more real from her. And I definitely feel like it's a case that deserves justice. It's been 22 years since Alyssa went missing. We need to find Alyssa, and the Phoenix police are not doing that. They're not giving Alyssa her justice. I do believe Michael Turney is out living his life, could care less about the man. At this point, you know that Alyssa is no longer alive. And if she is, which a lot of people don't think she is, why hasn't she come forward? It's been 22 years. She could come forward and say, "I'm here, I'm alive, and, you know, this did happen to me, and I ran away." But like her brother stated, she never went to her brother's house. She never went to her aunt's house in California. So where could she have gone if she is alive? And I think she would have come back at some point to tell Sarah, "I'm alive." And, you know, I just don't think my big sister would do that to me, you know what I mean? But yeah. Honestly, this case stuck with me just because of how... It stuck with me even before he was acquitted. It was just a case that stuck in my brain. And I think I watched the Mile Higher podcast once, and like for 2 months, I was like, I need to watch that again. Just so I can actually like try and understand and comprehend everything that happened. And even now, I still don't comprehend what happened. I don't think I will ever comprehend what happened. And I love it. And I love that kind of when it does that in my brain. Any case that does that where I have to go back and watch the video again and try to comprehend it, I'm like, I need to know, and I need to make my own video about it because I want to give my thoughts and my opinions to it. And my opinions on this case is that Michael Turney and Alissa Turney fought that last day of school, and Michael killed Sarah. Or not Sarah, killed Alyssa. You know, he whether it was purposely, whether it was accidentally in the heat of the moment, he killed Alyssa. You know what I mean? Like, he killed her. And he put her in his truck. He took her somewhere. He dumped her body in a place that nobody would find her. That's why he was late picking Sarah up. That's why she ended up at a friend's house. And Alyssa's stuff being all over. It looked almost as if he was trying to copy her handwriting. Like, to me, I believe Michael did it and just tried covering it up. And he's done a very good job of covering it up. But at the same time, you've deleted the supposed phone call that she gave you. There's no footage of Alyssa the day she went missing. He deleted so much that people are like, they had to have seen this when the case first started and they started suspecting him, and they didn't. Like, that's not okay. And I think Alyssa definitely deserves her justice. And I think as a community of true crime people, we can definitely give Alyssa the justice we need. I've seen it a lot with true crime cases. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you really do go check out Sarah Turney's social medias. Go follow her. She is amazing. And go listen to her podcast. Go listen to the Mile Higher podcast with her. Go watch Kendall Ray's video. Those will both be linked down below. Highly recommend watching those because they're definitely videos that are informational and a lot longer than mine. So they probably go into a little bit more detail. I will say those are a bit outdated. It's been a while since those videos came out, but it gives you the gist of actually pretty much everything that happened in Alissa's life and whatnot. But I highly recommend watching any video where Sarah talks about her sister. So yeah. Remember, you guys can also recommend a true crime case. It doesn't have to be true crime, it can be any kind of video. But if it's a case you think I would be interested in covering, especially if it's one that sticks to the brain, definitely recommend it. As always, it'll be up on the screen as I talk about it. And I will see you guys either in 2024 or in a little bit. So I'll see you guys in the next video.